Hello, everyone. So, today we're going to talk about a book that I recently read. Well, it's a short novel within a book of several stories with same character, same mythological character. And the book is from Joe R. Lansdale, The Gods of Razors. This this is a collection of short stories published by by him, and it's the Subterranean Press in this case, but it was published by him, and he chosen a couple of stories to be published within this same anthology. We've got the main story, which is the Night Runners, and then there is five, one, two, three, four, five, six short stories within the same universe. Joel talks about here in the introduction that this book is something different. This was one of his first published stuff, and it was very hard to get. So he waited until the 20th anniversary, and the Subterranean Press asked him to publish this. And I'm glad he published, and I'm glad I've read it. So, and what is this book about? First of all, I want to say something. Joe, I've been reading stuff from Joe, and this is the second book that I've read, and almost all his novels are small, which is interesting. I've never read something, or I've never had one, and I have like 20 of his books. Not one has like 300 or 400 pages, apart from the last two published by SST Publications, Dawn at Legion, and another one. Everything else is very small. Even the Up and Leonard series, all of them are like 200 pages, 250 pages at most. Um, and he says that his preferred method is slow. Sorry, not slow. Uh, Short stuff. And he chose. So, what is this novel about? So, this is a book told in three chapters. The first chapter, you have today we have two characters, Monty, and we have a young woman. Um, he's called Monty, the guy, and the main protagonist, if you can call it that, is Becky. We don't have a main protagonist per se. Um, Becky suffered, well, violent crime. Um, she was abused by one of her students, and it marked her. And then, so you get the story of how things are today, back then, how she's been dealing with it, and how Montgomery has been dealing with it, and so on. We've got some backstory on the perpetrator and a story about um, how they are handling stuff. Then we go back in time as we are introduced to the main villain and how things got, how they got there. And in the beginning, you think that he's just a random guy, but you get glimpses of something else. And this guy is really a piece of work. He's under 18. He has killed several people. You don't know about this, but what's most interesting is that in the first part, which is around 50, 60 pages, we get small, really small chapters about something one was killed or someone was abused and killed and so on, but you never connect the dots why or where this connects to everything. Then we get this backstory about this guy, and we kind of, and this backstory is 1 year prior. Well, first couple of years prior, then a year prior, and until it led the event of the abuse. Then we've got a third part, which is after. So it follows directly the first part. Basically, Joe is, instead of giving flashbacks, is telling us about this person. There are a lot of themes here. in this book. You've got themes of juvenile crimes, what society can do to them, because uh, he speaks about some crimes that he commits when he's Sheldon. Basically, the judge doesn't do anything, or he can't do anything, and so on. So it's kind of commentary on that, which is interesting because this book was written 40 years before, so 40 years ago, um, or 30 years ago, and some of this still applies, and applies even worse today, because we've seen kids being used as in drugs related or more things related, because they know they can't be prosecuted because they are children. So kind of interesting here, this situation. Then we've got a second character that appears, that this character is called Clyde, and this character, which is called Brian, is a bit lost. He's not bad. Okay, he's bad because he killed a cat, so he's not a bad person, but it's not in the same level. Then he starts seeing, um, he knows Clyde, and he gets to do stuff, horrendous stuff. So it's the influential. He's influenced by Clyde, which is he thinks that he's a Superman, superior being, and this leads to some of Hitler's stuff, but not race related. Some thoughts that he had about stronger versus barbarism um, versus not strong people. At the same time, it links to Nietzsche stuff. Something that he wrote that led not led but influenced Hitler. Um, and it's kind of interesting to see this fall of this character Brian, with then this stuff led to that crime, as I said, and then we have the third part where Brian or Clyde, um, because Clyde did this and killed himself, but then Brian starts hearing Clyde, and Clyde tells him, "Okay, I want to kill her again. I want to kill her, the person which he ended up not killing." And so this led to other stuff. I'm making awful presentation of the story, but I don't want to give much spoiler. I'm sorry. What is most interesting is how Joe writes stuff. Introduces, for example, to two characters. I'm going to spoil this. It's not a spoiler, big spoiler, but to this character, a cop, um, which we thought, okay, this is the guy that's going to kill the bad guys in the end. He's a good guy, he's a good person, he loves his wife, he does things by the law. But then Joe throws the throwback. He hints at something and then he says, nah, that's not that what what is going to happen to that character. It's so cool to see this kind of writing. One of the things that I'm mostly displeased with books is that when we are introduced to a main character, we already know, okay, this character is safe, so anything that you do to this character doesn't matter because it's safe. So I enjoy when the book and the writer can throw us off board, and he does this at least 2 times, 3 times here on this book. Um, so this is a revenge, not revenge. This is like, yeah, a revenge story mixed with PTSD. In this case, the woman, how the person around them treats him, and it's also about the fall, about the character developments and how people become evil or become what they are. There are other characters in these stories that we think, okay, they are safe, and they are not safe, and it's very cool to see this. Another thing that I enjoy this book, this version of book, is that it's illustrated, and this 200-page story has like 15 illustrations, and it's a um, very nice illustration. Sometimes it's two illustrations in the same page, which was very cool to see this. Some are very graphic. This book is very graphic. This book is very uh, graphic, but not graphic in the disturbed way. What I mean by is that you know that he killed. He speaks badly in terms of saying stuff that he want to do to persons, and you see them doing several of these things. Others, it hints at it. Some guy kills mother, and he says, "Okay, he did this and this and this," but it's never fully explained how he did it. It's not gruesome in that regard. But the book is not easy to read for a person that deals with, again, abuse. Don't can't handle abuse. Yeah, don't read this book at all, or read it. Maybe it will help you understand how to not understand, but how, help you overcome if it's even possible to overcome. Um, and, and that made me think about the crimes and so on. So when someone rapes another person, kids in this case, um, they are throwing 2 years or 3 years in jail. Uh, even if it's going 10 years in jail, but that woman or man, in this case it's a woman, of course, but the vast majority is woman. Her life is can be, I don't know about oral cases, but the vast majority, I would say, are destroyed. And it's not only this person, but if this person has children, or if this person has a husband or a family, drug family, their lives are also affected in a very bad way. So, and I believe society should put a harsher uh, laws against this, because this is when you die, you die. I mean, it's bad, of course, because you are dead. Someone could say, okay, but at least you are alive. Yes, you are alive, but what kind of life you're going to have? Years of therapy, probably. Uh, Probably the marriage, if it exists, if the husband is not, uh, the lack of intimacy can damage the stuff. I mean, it's awful. So I don't know. This is some thought I thought about it. So there are other, as I guess, and there are a lot of 5 more short stories here. I've not read it, but this book is a worthy the purchase. Even if I've not read it, 5 stars. I will tell in the end of the month about these short stories, but so far I'm going to say that this book is worth it just for this title story. I got this from eBay because these are no longer published, and it cost me around $20 plus shipping. I would say that you can get it for the same price, and it's a good story, a good horror story. If you enjoy horror that doesn't go in traditional endings of, I'm not saying that it ends badly or ends correctly. I'm not going to say that part, but it gave some curveballs. Okay, I read 200 pages in continuous time under 4 hours. I started yesterday in the morning in the train. I read like 70 pages. Then uh, I read more half an hour, and today I read 100 pages, the same thing. So yeah, less than 3 hours, 3.5 hours. So this is very uh, readable in terms of fast-paced story, and it has some interesting chapters. It gets some interesting points. It gets some interesting things to think about it, and it's a good book. Joe Relza is a good writer. Yeah, so that's it from me. Please go get The God of Razors. Another thing that I want to say is that this book is not hinted if it's a supernatural thing that is happening um, with Clyde Brian stuff, or if it's just in his head, which is interesting. And seeing this character here and other stories connected, it may hint it's more um, supernatural stuff. I'm going to read the book and to say, but this story alone, you can't tell it's one or the other, which is amazingly done. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you and have a great day.